The land of Terrenoth. Once nothing more than my proud home, a peaceful land of justice and order. That was until the Dark Lord came to burn our cities and seed chaos amongst our people. Now we fight. For what else is a peaceful man to do when his back lies against the wall?
How much further, Master Thorn?
Not far now, and not a moment too soon. The Beastman Lord's power grows with every passing day.
Then the rumors are true?
Oh yes. In 2 weeks, the Beastman hosts shall march upon the town of Greyhaven. In 3 weeks, each Beastman will be the size and strength of 2 human soldiers. Make no mistake, Buldar. The fate of the world hinges on this quest of ours.
Well, I believe this evil overlord has much to fear from us. A mature, powerful, seasoned wizard of the highest power and order and strength. And a champion barbarian in his very prime.
Do you smell that?
What is that stink?
Beastman stink. I'd recognize it anywhere. We're close. This is it.
Yes.
The battle. The final battle to save the world.
Onward to battle!
Onward! Wait! No, wait. Do you have any stamina potions?
What?
Stamina potions. Potions that restore your stamina.
I think I gave my last potion to Lindel.
Blast!
No, I have one here.
Marvelous! I should have it.
Why?
Well, I'm better than you.
What?
I can kill things faster than you. It makes sense that I should have the stamina potion because then we'll be able to kill more things. I'll have my energy reserves kept up. Thank you.
So well.
To battle!
Wait. No. What if we become separated and I require the stamina potion to handle a horde of beastmen?
No. You are very strong. You will not need a potion. To battle, Bull.
Very well.
I'm sure about this.
I defer to your wisdom.
Very well.
Though I understand it not.
To battle! Wait! No. So, you should have the stamina potion because, do you see, your energy reserves are greater than mine. Therefore, a potion that restores your energy will have a much greater effect. Here. I'm sure of this.
Well, so be it.
To battle!
To battle!
To battle! To battle!
Wait!
Ah!
Wait, Thorn!
What?
Why? Do you want my trousers?
Why would I? What?
They are trousers of speed. Yes.
Marvelous!
Do you want my trousers?
Yes, I would. Yes.
You covet my trousers. Wear them. Use them wisely.
Oh, but well, you can wear my robe then in place of your trousers.
But it is a bedsheet.
It is a robe of my order!
Okay, this is it. This is the biggest thing we've done yet. And I don't want you to be intimidated when you see the size of it. Just remember, I'll be right there by your side. Okay? Okay, great. Come on in.
Ah, you're here. Then we can begin.
No, don't freak out. This is not as nerdy as it looks like. No, relax. Shh. It's okay. Okay, so it's every bit as nerdy as it looks like, but it's fun. Descent is incredible fun. Just relax. We're just going to talk to you for a bit. Pause the video. Get yourself something to drink. Sit comfortably. And we're going to tell you why Descent is a game you can be having incredible fun with.
Descent is a fantasy adventure game about a group of adventurers descending, do you see, into a dungeon. It's absolutely massive, as you can see, and fittingly comes in a huge box with hundreds of components. But it's fleshed out further by a bunch of extra expansions. Descent really is fantasy at its richest and its wickedest, and yet what you're seeing here is just the game in its larval stage. This is the basic set, nothing more.
The traditional image of a board game is something disposable, something you play for an hour before drunkenly fumbling it back in the cupboard for another year. We're covering Descent to show you just how big board gaming can be. This is a game that can conquer the biggest of dining room tables, a game with dungeons bigger than your desk, with monsters that can barely fit in the palm of your hand. It is a colossal game, and it will need colossal men to review it.
But instead, you get us. Let's start with the basics. Imagine a party of up to 4 adventurers fighting their way down through a dungeon to a particular objective. In their way is an evil overlord player. It's his job to make sure they have as bad a time as possible by throwing monsters, traps, anything else he can in their way, really trying to make sure they never see the light of day again.
So far, this might be sounding a bit like Dungeons and Dragons, and certainly Descent is a game featuring both Dungeons and Dragons, but the Overlord's job is not the same of the Dungeon Master's job in Dungeons and Dragons. The Overlord doesn't have to referee the game, nor does he have to tell a story or play fair. His job is simply to kill the heroes. This is a game of pure and distilled and very deadly combat, exploration and puzzle solving. The Overlord can win, and often will.
So this is how a game of Descent starts. We've set up the map. We don't know what's out there yet. We've just got a basic dungeon layout. We've picked our characters. We've chosen our special abilities. Oh, look at that, acrobat. And we've been shopping for deadly weapons. Now we need to go into the lair of Tog the dragon to steal his or her treasure without getting stabbed, eaten, or of course set on fire.
It's true. Death stalks the corridors, T-junctions and dead ends of Descent like the boring guy at a party that nobody wants to talk to, but you will have to meet him eventually. There's a lot of killing in Descent, a lot of last-minute shankings and desperate immolations, a lot of killing. Does that make Descent a gory game? A boys game? A brain-dead game? No. Really, Descent is all about speed. Once all of the heroes have taken their turns firing arrows or popping the lids off chests, it's the Overlord's turn. And not only does he get to move and attack with all of the monsters, he draws from a deck of evil possibilities. He also builds up a resource known as threat that he can use to make horrible stuff happen, like monsters appearing or massive breeze blocks falling on your head. Simply put, the longer you take getting to the dungeon, the more you're giving him to play with, and the more nightmarish he'll become. I hate that guy. The Overlord can make you attack one another with dark charms. He can spray paralyzing gas in your face when you open a door. He can summon giant spiders behind you. So what's the best way to get through a dungeon? Simple. As fast as you can. You run like the hounds of hell are at your feet, which sometimes they literally will be. These guys are hellhounds. They're really bad news. They breathe fire. Which brings me to my favourite mechanic in Descent, fatigue. Every hero gets a little pool of these fatigue tokens that you can use to hit a little bit harder or run a little bit further or use one of your character's exhausting special abilities. To get those tokens back, all you need to do is spend half of your turn resting, just catching your breath, that's all. But you'll never find the time to do it. There's always some monster that needs getting stabbed this turn or some door that needs to be kicked open right now. So you get the impression that your heroes are constantly out of breath. Of course, the heroes can only tell one half of this story.
We keep calling them heroes, they're not. They're burglars. And as Overlord, you're watching them kick down the doors to your dungeon, breaking in, killing your employees and your pets, and stealing the gold that you've oh so carefully stashed in all those ornate chests. They are the worst guests imaginable, and it's very natural that you'd want to turn them into paste for your ogres to feast upon. But that's not very easy to do. The heroes are annoying because they're so powerful. Sure, you've got cards that can spawn monsters behind them, open traps under their feet, drop blocks on their head, but that's all. You're on your own. They've got a whole team of friends to confer with. Who are you going to attack next? What are you going to do with your kobolds? You don't know. That's your decision, your sole decision. You have no one to turn to for advice, for help. What? Tog the dragon, what's he going to say? Me. Piss off, Tog. You're by yourself, and that's the fun. You are in the middle of the game with them. The tension is shared. It's every part your own. Your powers are there to be sent against the adventurers. You're not some remote D&D DM adjudicating rules, being a referee, being some distant janitor cleaning up ambiguities of the game. You're in there. These are your guys. This is your team. And this is where you want to be. The game is so wonderfully tactile. Look at this stuff. There is so much to play with, so much to hold. Look at these. Come here, come here. Look at these custom-made dice. You'll play with these too. These are your tokens. This is your dungeon. This is your involvement. You are a character too. You're just very, very evil.
Alright, that's the base game of Descent. It's huge, but it's about to get even huger. Next up, we look at all of Descent's expansions.
Perennially popular city-building jigsaw Carcassonne has burped up another expansion. Carcassonne the Phantom allows players to put a tiny little transparent figure on tiles in addition to one of their regular followers. And that's it.
This latest expansion brings the total number of Carcassonne products up to 67,512,000,000. Critics are claiming that the Phantom is the single most pointless Carcassonne expansion since Carcassonne the Phallus, which allowed players to quite literally dick around with the rules. I'm sorry, we don't have an image for that feature.
In a rare example of movies meeting board games, Munchkin Conan will be released this autumn to time with the reboot of the Conan franchise starring Jason Momoa.
Momoa.
The expansion will add 15 new cards to the classic game of backstabbing and betrayal, but despite the movie tie-in, the art is still classically Munchkin and there's no sign of any photos of Jason Momoa in the game.
Momoa. And finally, Fantasy Flight have released the first of what our sources have confirmed will be many expansions for H.P. Lovecraft's survival horror board game Mansions of Madness. Fans have been chomping at the bit for expansions of Mansions of Madness because the game's innovative story-driven design means it's at its most entertaining on the first run-through of any of the game's scenarios, yet the game only comes with 5 of them. The new expansion, Season of the Witch, costs $15 US and comes with a single new scenario. Hello. Right, where were we? The expansions of Descent. The first one Fantasy Flight released was this, The Well of Darkness. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, The Well of Darkness? That sounds like a lovely place. That sounds really nice. Well, it's not. You are wrong. You are dead wrong. We've got buzzsaws. We've got mud you can wade through. We've got lava. We've got poison dart corridors. We even have a massive rolling boulder that automatically kills anybody it crushes. And look at these new monsters. We've got golems. These guys are the bouncers of Descent. You wedge one of those in a corridor, the heroes are not getting through. They're as thickly armoured as tanks. Then there's kobolds. They may look cute, but you know when you're a kid and you have that horrible game where one kid will kneel behind another kid in secret and another kid comes along and pushes him so the first kid falls over and then some bastard yells, "Pile on or bundle!" Then all the kids jump on him and that kid has nightmares for the rest of his life. Well, kobolds are basically that because they get a bonus to the damage of anybody they're attacking, the more kobolds that are around them, and they spawn in massive numbers. But it is strawberry fields compared to the ferox, who make you bleed with razor-sharp claws. Yeah, you will bleed in Well of Darkness. So, you know, in case you want an expansion that adds bleeding to Descent, yeah, well, this is it. Oh, yeah, and look at the size of this lightning bolt template. It's nightmarish. But the best thing in Well of Darkness are these cards. These are additional cards for the Overlord. Treachery cards that he can use to customize his Overlord deck. But it's not all bad for the heroes, because there are some extra heroes to choose from, and you have incredibly powerful holy relics, and you have new skills, and you have new treasure. And of course, the heroes do get to explore some new dungeons. Now, the word on the internet-related street is that Well of Darkness is, look at the size of that, Well of Darkness is the first expansion you should buy. But I disagree with that. While this does slot the most smoothly into the Descent base set, I would argue that it's also the most stingy. Yeah, I said it. I would recommend you buy this next one.
Altar of Despair. Now, this brings something of an odour of unpleasantness to Descent, and bear in mind this is already Descent we're talking about. It's not going to be very nice anyway. Well, come down, I'll show you exactly how nasty it gets. Altars of Evil, you don't want to go anywhere near those or touch those. They're balanced by some Altars of Good. Not very many of those. There's this wicked pit that, my god, that's going to take up an entire room. The walls themselves, are these against you now? Well, it seems so. They're coming down the corridor towards you to crush your entire party. I don't really know how you're supposed to get past that. As for the minions, well, I don't like any of them.
Now, next up we have Tomb of Ice. A lot of people might not think board gaming is as exciting as video gaming because technology isn't advancing board gaming in the way it is video games. Well, that's not true. Just look at this. Look at these 4 tiles. Look at what technology has allowed them to do. Look how big this room is. You couldn't do that in 2005. Also, look, this is advanced. See? We've got a whole 4x4 room here where the entrances are on the corner. Amazing. Look, that blood on the tile, that's advanced technology right there. Amazing, just amazing. Like the other expansions, Tomb of Ice comes with new cards to the Overlord, new treasure, but unlike the others, it doesn't give the heroes new permanent skills. Instead, the heroes get little hands of cards of their own. Like, look, this is for a mage. He can focus, he can produce sparks of pain from his body, he can prevent evil. A bit like me, actually, I'm quite good at preventing evil. But really, the stars of Tomb of Ice are the monsters. Just look here. Not being as facetious this time, these miniatures genuinely are more advanced. Look, you have much thinner parts of their body. These guys are ghosts. Then you've got lava beetles. Look at that. That's beautiful. Then you've got those guys, Wendigos. You've got Medusa again. Okay, with the Medusa, they're actually just playing with the fact that they can do very minute details. But best of all are the worms. These guys can eat a character, whereupon that character goes into their stomach and has to try and fight their way out before they're corroded by stomach acid. Unbelievable. Another unique thing about Tomb of Ice is that the heroes are properly mental. Look, this guy's just a yeti.
2008 was the year that everything changed. Fantasy Flight released this, the Road to Legend expansion. It turns Descent from an evening's entertainment into a fantasy saga of probably 300 hours worth of gameplay. That's right, you will build your own fantasy cycle, your own fantasy epic with this expansion, your own television series at home on your table with your friends. It turns Descent from Labyrinth with David Bowie into the Lord of the Rings. In fact, it's so intense, it's so epic, and it's so large, probably deserves its own mini review. Let's go.
Just look at this overworld map. Look at all these dungeons you can visit. Broken crags, shadow peaks, plains of the Ruby Gate. Look at these towns and rivers you can travel down and secret huts containing ancient grand masters. Look at these cards. These cards that show all the different plots that the Overlord can try and bring about and all of his upgrades that he might want to buy. Look at these cards that show the different kind of Overlord that you can be. All of them with their different skills and abilities. When I was a kid playing Dungeons and Dragons, I would have given my left hand to lay my hands on something, to lay a hand on this.
Quins! This adds a new dimension to the game. No longer are you chasing single objectives or rushing down into just one mundane run-of-the-mill dungeon. No, your adventures take you all across the land of Terranoth, from north to south. The Overlord will have some evil objective, some major plan that he's trying to realise across your homeland. He'll be raping and pillaging as he goes. His lieutenants will be splitting up, laying siege to cities, destroying the towns and the people that you once loved. You'll do your best to try and stop him, but it will be difficult. For the first time, you'll be fighting outdoors as he ambushes you on the trail. At the same time, you'll be fighting in more dungeons than you've ever seen before, dozens, scores of dungeons over and over again. Sometimes you'll win, sometimes you'll lose, sometimes you'll give it everything you can, and other times you'll be glad just to get out alive. You'll try and pick your battles whenever you can, but very, very often the Overlord will be trying to send you out with your tail between your legs. And this is your Descent campaign sheet. It is a record of your success and your humiliation. At the end of every session, it will be packed away in your campaign box and released again for the next encounter.
In a sense, what Road to Legend offers is just a kind of fantastic sub-game that you play between dungeons, a sort of miniature chess where the overlords and heroes can duke it out in a more grand way. But really, what I think is far more important is the chance the game gives you to get attached to everything. Not just the heroes, but also the monsters. This is a really colourful game, and as you play it week after week, every dice, every card the Overlord plays will develop its own personality. I mean, look! These are some photos that I took of our game, and stitched together they become a kind of travelogue, like a holiday slideshow. Paul, come here and look at this. Do you remember this giant?
Huh? What?
This giant, the one, well, we took him on for like 10 rounds, I think it was? He was really tough. Oh, he was so tough, yeah. Remember who got the killing blow, though?
No, who?
It was me, actually. And, this was another really good moment for Runemaster Thorn. This was when I was surrounded by kobolds and cultists, and I was dodging and knocking them away with the stuff. Oh, that was good. I was defending the teleport glyph, and...
Hang on, are these all just pictures of you?
No. You can see Okaluk in the background there, behind all those beastmen.
Oh, I remember this. This is the dungeon where you got your nickname. It's where you became Two-Hole Thorn. Because you fell down the hole in the corner, and then you came back and you respawned and the skeleton pushed you down the hole.
Yeah, well, it's better than your nickname, isn't it?
I don't have a nickname.
You do now. Bullshit Bulldar. You have no idea
how hard it is to be a wizard with
Thorn, please. We must keep moving.
I will belabor this point. You give me no respect.
I gave you my trousers. I would like them back.
I would like to hang on to the trousers, for they are very useful to me.
I need to go on a date.
Listen, Bulldar.
It will look bad if I arrive without trousers.
I don't know how to say this, but I shall be keeping the trousers.
By now we've probably got quite a few of you wanting to buy Descent. Well, I'm here to say stop! Don't do it! Because, at least not until you've thought about what I have to say, because this is far from a perfect game. I mean, first of all, there's just the amount of space it takes up. I mean, not many people are going to have dining room tables big enough. Then there's the need, every time the game demands a new token, to go rummaging through a bag of them like a granny looking for a change. The game also has trouble differentiating between its skirmishes and its grand endgame battles, because occasionally you'll throw open the door to a room with just a couple of beastmen in there and they'll tear apart half your party and then go back to grooming each other. Occasionally you'll also throw open the door to some final end dungeon demon and a lot of you will crumple him up like a paper bag full of blood before he's even had a chance to move. Then there's the fact that Descent has what my friend calls a lot of bullshit. I mean, what's this up like? Yeah, it's 18 pages of errata that Fantasy Flight have issued, fixing just the most broken areas of Descent. The fact is, the more variables a game has, the harder it is to balance, and Descent has dozens of monster types, hundreds of skills and treasure items and overlord cards, and as such, these can be combined in various broken ways. I mean, take Paul's character in our game. He's an archer who has less in common with Legolas than he does with a machine gun. He's ridiculous, and we used only 2 training skill cards and 1 magic item to get him there. I'm not even going to tell you what cards those were, because somebody out there is going to go, oh, that's a good idea, and that's another Descent campaign broken. Because this is an arms race. If one side starts twisting the game, then the other side has to start, and then it's who can bend the rules furthest, and that sucks. Worse, when one side's doing really well in Descent, the game rewards them. I mean, heroes get more treasure and more experience, and the Overlord gets more threats he can use to clog up his dungeon with even more monsters, making it harder for the other side to even catch up. Descent. She offers something that no other game on the market offers, but she's not without her problems. And Paul, what are you doing in that corner?
Hi, and welcome to Paul's alternative grid-based dungeon exploration corner, where I give alternatives to grid-based dungeon exploration games here, in my corner. I'd like to talk to you about HeroQuest, which was, and probably still is, one of the most exciting dungeon exploration games that you can play on a grid. I had this first when I was 9, 10, and I'll tell you then it was a revelation. It's probably the game that got me into board gaming, in fact. You could be a barbarian or a wizard or an elf or a dwarf, and you're bursting into a dungeon, you're ripping the chests open, you're fighting orcs and zombies and gargoyles and terrible, terrible chaos warriors with massive axes. And then there was Advanced Hero Quest, which was something even grander, something without the restrictions of just this board. It was like Descent. It was put your own dungeon together and randomly create your own quests.
Paul, where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of Hero Quest?
Well, this is all I've got.
That's all you've got left?
The board.
The game's been out of print for 100 years. Don't you have anything that, you know, people can buy today?
I guess. I've got one thing. Well, one fantastic grid-based dungeon exploration adventure game that I did have as a kid, and that I have again, it's with us once more as a reprint, is DungeonQuest. This is a horrible, dangerous, unforgiving race against time, and I personally think that makes it a much more enjoyable, much more interesting game. DungeonQuest is very simply a randomly generated, very deadly dungeon. Think about it as NetHack, the board game, if you like. As your heroes travel through this dungeon, you will be drawing from this pile here dungeon pieces at random and laying them down in front of you, so you'll build a different dungeon every time. I should also point out that though you'll have up to 4 heroes exploring, you won't really be working together. In fact, you'll probably never meet each other. Your only challenge is the dungeon itself and the random dangers, the horrid possibilities that await you. This is all very much a race against time as well. Look over here. What we have here is a little sun track that represents the passage of the sun across the sky. The sun comes up in the morning as you rush into this dungeon, and as it starts to go down, things will begin going wrong. If you want to succeed, if you want to make a lot of money, well, you really want to get to the very center of the dungeon. That's where all the cash is, and cash is your only objective here. Cash and staying alive. But of course, as soon as you've done that, as Lyndall here has done, you have to force your way all the way back through everything you've already encountered. All those randomly created dangers, all those horrid things that you've just fought your way through, you have to go past one more time. DungeonQuest is full of cards. It's full of possibilities. It's full of weapons, treasure, all kinds of horrid monsters to have to fight. And, well, if it does have a downside, I'd say that the combat dynamic is a little rusty. But this is a brilliant game with all sorts of things waiting for you, waiting to kill you. And if you don't mind, if you're not going to be too attached to your character, that's okay. I've read online that the survival rate in DungeonQuest is 20%. That means 1 in 5 heroes will actually make their way out of the dungeon. These 4 guys here, well, they may all die. It's a lot of fun egging your friends on, watching them teetering their way across a wooden bridge, only to find that they're too overloaded with loot and they fall into the catacombs below. Isn't that right, Quins?
Die in a fire.
Yeah, that's right. Next time on Shut Up and Sit Down, we'll be playing Settlers of Catan. Can I ask if you allow customers to return units once it's completed?
Within 20 minutes.
Just within 20 minutes? Okay, because we might have bought too much too much land.
I have a gentleman who is going to buy me. Please, yeah. The money goes.
I was going to say if it's too much trouble.
No, it's not trouble.
Okay, they're going to send the manager down. Wow. Okay. Oh. Hi. Sorry. So I couldn't even bring it back and get credit note and swap land, swap sheet for credit reasons.
The reason why is because when we take it back, if it's outside of that rule, we would have to destroy the product. So it's really effective.
So I can't even do a trade. I can't trade land for
The only thing I could say is have reason. So if you don't use insurance reason,
call for a handsome mom to lean on. Would it be good?
head of the devil.
Momoa.
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 Momoa.